The confusion of money in any form whatsoever with wealth is one of the major problems from which civilization is suffering.
I've often said that I wished people could realize all their dreams and wealth and fame, and so that they could see that it's not where you're going to find your sense of completion.
But our culture, our civilization, is entirely hung up on the notion that money has an independent reality of its own.
As a Beatle, we made it, and there was nothing to do. We had money, we had fame, and there was no joy.
I believe that I had to become a famous idea and get all the stuff that people dream about, accomplish a bunch of things that look like success in order to give up my attachment to those things.
One might say then that we are confused through and through about what we mean by the material world. In the first place, we confuse abstract symbols, that is to say numbers and words and formulae, with physical events, as we confuse money with consumable wealth.
Are you a rich man?
What do you mean rich? What do you mean?
Do you have a lot of possessions? A lot of money in the bank?
Position make you rich? I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life, forever.
We are thinking about vast abstractions, ideologies called communism, capitalism, all these systems, and paying less and less attention to the world of physical reality, to the world of earth and trees and waters, people.
I think all our society is run by insane people for insane objectives. You know? Yeah. And I think that's what I sussed when I was 16 and 12 way down the line. It's the same thing I'm expressing all the time, but now I can put it into that sentence that I think we're being run by maniacs for maniacal ends, you know.
The one thing we die for, nothing but pain, stuck in this game, searching for fortune and fame.
We're all familiar with the anecdotal examples of people winning lotteries, lottos, football pools and deteriorating because wealth in itself has no meaning. We're all aware too of the native and indigenous tales that regard the accumulation of material products as a kind of disorder. We live in a sick society where we've prioritized materialism over idealism. We have no values or principles. We have people racing to the conclusion of an argument that has no values, no deep truth in it. We have people spending their whole lives acquiring fortunes that they're never going to use, don't need, that are meaningless, that can never fulfill them. A materialistic life as well is a commitment to the idea that there is no deeper ulterior meaning. The only thing that matters is the acquisition of objects, accruing more material, accruing more power, accruing more resources. If that becomes your ideology, because ultimately, fundamentally, it isn't true, because there is a realm beyond the reach of the senses that we are nevertheless impacted by, our consciousness itself resourced from this deep well, you are living in an illusion with every object you purchase. You are living in a nihilistic space, a place desiccated of the richness of meaning, a dry, barren landscape papered over with privilege. One of the things I've been granted by my own limited experiences of fame and fortune is that it is dumb, empty, inane. I have announced my apostasy many times. Celebrity can't fulfill you. It's a peculiar religion. Wealth, privilege, these are odd ideologies and they embed themselves in you. It's so difficult to free yourself from the toxicity of it once you've experienced it. I'm not asking for sympathy. Of course I'm not. I'm describing the situation.
And the principle is that any time you, as it were, voluntarily let up control, in other words, cease to cling to yourself, you have an access of power. Because you're wasting energy all the time in self-defense, trying to manage things, trying to force things to conform to your will. The moment you stop doing that, that wasted energy is available. And therefore, you are, in that sense, having that energy available, you are one with the divine principle. You have the energy. When you're trying, however, to act as if you were God, that is to say, you don't trust anybody and you're the dictator and you have to keep everybody in line, you lose the divine energy. Because what you're doing is simply defending yourself. So then, the principle is, the more you give it away, the more it comes back.
Most of us are trying to make the big bank account, but very few people are working on developing themselves. But the more you develop yourself, the more you tap into what you already have in you, the more you work on your creativity, the more you work on your unique voice, the more you understand what's unique about you. So you have in you these abilities. And most of the time we ignore that because we're trying to get the money in the bank versus actually raise our value, our understanding of ourselves, our uniqueness, our creativity, what your skills are, what is so unique about you that makes you not replaceable. Now, the more you do that, the more the entire bank account system could totally collapse and you'll still be fine because you're capable of bringing value to the world that's beyond just money. You're bringing value to the world and you'll be taken care of for that. So one of the most important things you can do is work on you, not work on just filling the bank account. And if you have a decent bank account or a medium bank account or even a very little one, use that to work on you. Develop your creativity, create a studio, go to things that will help you learn more about you. There are so many things that are worth so much money in you, but most of us ignore those things and try to get the external. And that's the shortcut that stops you from meeting what's nuts about you, what's insane about you, what's original about you. And every person has such a brilliant, unique, original thing, and very few people invest in themselves. You have that. You have that in you. Every person has that, but their focus is on the wrong thing. It's on how do I get money versus how do I raise my value, not my bank account's value, my value. You are an infinite supply. You are the apple tree, and your job is to access that.
See, that fact that everything is in decay is your helper. That is allowing you that you don't have to let go because there's nothing to hold on to. It's achieved for you, in other words, by the process of nature. So once you see that you just don't have a prayer, and it's all washed up, and that you will vanish and leave not a rack behind, and you really get with that, suddenly you find you have the power, this enormous access of energy. But it's not power that came to you because you grabbed it. It came in entirely the opposite way. And power that comes to you in that opposite way is power with which you can be trusted. We are recognized by the fact that one day you face the same way as you did the day before, and people recognize your facing. So they say that's John Doe or Mary Smith. But actually the contents of your face, whatever they may be, the water, the carbons, the chemicals, are changing all the time. And everything is like that. It's pattern. And this is why it's so spiritual. To be non-spiritual is not to see that, to identify with the body. The body is really very intangible. And so therefore, if you cling to the body, you will be frustrated. The material world, the world of nature, is marvelous, so long as you don't try to lean on it, so long as you don't cling to it. And if you don't cling to it, you can have a wonderful time with it. If you try to possess people, then of course you are trying to cling to the physical world. So one might say then that we are confused through and through about what we mean by the material world. In the first place, we confuse abstract symbols, that is to say numbers and words and formulae, with physical events, as we confuse money with consumable wealth. In the second place, we confuse physical events with matter. But matter, you see, is an idea, it's a concept. It's the concept of stuff, of something solid and permanent that you can catch hold of. Now, you just can't catch hold of the physical world. The physical world is the most evasive, elusive process that there is. It will not be pinned down, and therefore it fulfills all the requirements of spirit. So what I'm saying then is that the non-abstract world is the spiritual world. But we're all hooked on the idea that there is, you see, an external objective world, which is a certain way. But people always have to feel that they've got to find a meaning. For example, you get sick, and you've lived a very good life, and you've been helpful to other people and done all sorts of nice things. Then you get cancer. And you say to the clergyman, why did this have to happen to me? And you're looking for an explanation, and there isn't one. It just happened that way. But people feel if they can't find an explanation, they feel very, very insecure. Why? Because they haven't been able to straighten things out. The world is not that way. It is you, in other words, who evoke the world, and you evoke the world in accordance with what kind of a you are, what kind of an organism. One organism evokes one world, another organism evokes another world. And so everything, reality is a kind of relationship. So once one gets rid of the idea of the truth as some way the world is in a fixed sense, say it is that way, see? Then you get to another idea of the truth altogether. The truth that cannot be pinned.